3, 2, what? Welcome to Live. I'm the host, DJ Anthony from New Jersey. That is our PhD, resident PhD from Cali, Magnus. And listen, we're two friends talking. We're not giving you medical, legal, any kind of advice. We're just talking. You can chime in and you can eavesdrop. Magnus, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Anthony?
Good, dude. So it's funny. I don't know. I come up with these show ideas. I'm either walking somewhere, I'm in the shower, or I'm half asleep. I'm like, here's a show idea. Do prayers really work? Now, I typically go to church most Sundays. I wouldn't say I'm a religious person, but I go to church. And I come from a very, very, very religious family, especially my mother makes Mother Teresa look like she's not sure about her faith. That's my mother. My mother's like, my mother makes
hardcore.
My mother makes Mother Teresa look like an atheist. Like, so growing up, forget it. It was, the Catholic guilt trip. Anyways, but this show can really be applicable to any religion because all religions pray in some shape, form, or fashion. And so I thought to myself, do prayers really work? Because I think anyone watching this, Magnus, has had experiences where, they said a prayer for something, no matter what the religion, and oh, wow, it came true. Or they prayed for something and it didn't come to fruition.
Yeah.
So I don't know, do prayers work? Because you'll hear people say, prayers work, like it's a panacea. Like, you pray, boom, you get it. Like, that's not fair. That's not true. That 100% of the time prayers always work all the time. Come on. Like,
I think people that are using prayer for that are doing it the wrong way. That's just my opinion. I think that when it comes to, like, my view on praying is more that a couple of things, like speaking things into reality. That's kind of a mindset that you're talking yourself into believing in yourself and doing certain things that you maybe did not think that you could, or that you definitely think that you can, but you're actually talking yourself into it. Another thing I think too is that you, like, self accountability, that you are actually voicing specific things in life that you are happy about, that you're sad about, that you're frustrated about,
right.
Whatever it is, but you actually take time into putting real words and thoughts into it.
Well, then it becomes a type of meditation, I would say. And so for me, I say, here's how I see it. Does prayer work? There's a short answer and a long answer. Short answer is no. Long answer is yes, how I see it. And that is kind of what you just said. And my pastor says this, if you're going to treat, again, this is applicable to our religion, it could be any religion. I'm saying mine, not meaning ours. If you're going to treat God like a genie and you're going to, say, okay, I'm going to pray and I want this and I want that and I want this. Like, God doesn't work that way. That's what my pastor says. And I agree. So my thing is, prayers don't work so far as a genie thing. Like, you pray for something, you get it. Now, it could be a coincidence. You prayed for something and it happened, but that's not because you prayed. That's how I see it. Because you could try your own experiment. You could ask whatever, right? You could say, God, I need $1 billion by Monday, 3 p.m. See how that works out for you, if prayers work. Now, you may say, oh, Anthony, you're being ridiculous. Okay, let's take something very simple. You're at the mall, very, very small thing, and you want to get parking in the first row of the parking lot at the mall on a busy Saturday. I'm going to pray, and in 10 minutes, I'd like to see a spot open in the first row. See if that works for you. It's not going to work. So that prayer, it could be a coincidence. Now, if you say, well, I prayed that I would get a parking spot somewhere in the mall complex, and look at that, I found something. Now, come on, that's coincidence. Obviously, a spot's going to open up at some point. My mother's like that. Growing up, she'd be like, Anthony, I have such a headache. Thank God I said a prayer, and the headache went away. And I'm like, but Mom, you took 2 Advil. No, that's not right. I prayed. And I'm like, Mom, but you took 2 Advil. I go, I don't want to be a jerk, Mom, but next time when you have this bad headache, don't take the Advil. Pray that it goes away in 1 minute. See if that works. Like, it's not. So it could be correlation, not causation. It could be coincidence. Now, but Magnus, to your point, I do think prayer works in the sense of, if it brings you solace and peace, and helps you reflect, I think prayer can be very, very positive. And I think prayer can quote unquote work all the time, because like you said, you're speaking something or you're whatever. Magnus, real quick, let me just say this. Okay, this was kind of depressing. Harvard did a study called the Harvard Prayer Experiment, and it was a study investigating whether intercessory prayer or the knowledge of receiving it would affect recovery from coronary artery bypass surgery. All right, and the study found that intercessory prayer had no effect on complication-free recovery from surgery. Okay, this is a study they did on more than one person. In fact, patients who knew they were being prayed for had a higher rate of complications than those who were not being prayed for. This may be due to unrealistic expectations being created and stress when those expectations are not met. So it goes on to say the study was led by investigators from the Harvard Medical School, Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center, and Mind Body Medical Institute. It was supported by the Templeton Foundation and involved 1,200 volunteers at 6 hospitals across the country. So that's interesting that getting prayed for could be worse, because now you're expecting this big recovery and it doesn't happen. And so go ahead, Magnus.
No, I mean, it's that comes into like putting in the work. Like first off, you having good surgeon, and also like how poorly is your health to start out with, and there's so many layers on that. So, but I think when it comes down to like my view on praying is also like your spiritual guidance or whatever you want to call it, right? I think it comes down like why pray might work is that you are in a group, you're surrounded by people that like have mutual kind of views and ideas and support and things like that. Because religion, whatever, it's a really good support system, whatever people says about it, right? Because you are together with people, you are trying to. I would say most people go to a church or a synagogue or to pray to become better persons.
Right.
Like, of course, you have different worldviews and politics and religious thoughts and things like that too. But most people like usually go to church to be a better individual and person, right?
Yeah.
So I think like, again, when it comes down to our like tribal kind of views and thoughts and support, that's the beauty of it, and that's the beauty of prayer and all these things that you do when you go to like a religious place, right?
Yeah.
Because it's the same thing. Like I know that people that are not even religious goes like going into a church or a mosque or things like that. There's kind of a feeling in the air, and you like I don't know. I mean, it's just a feeling that you get when you walk into one of those places, right? Like I mean, it could be the smallest little church or the most grand like Italian church, like, you know, going to the Vatican or anything like that. I mean, it's still something, just the building and how it's kind of built and things like that.
It evokes prayer.
Yeah, and it evokes something
spirituality.
like you might feel like small under God's like peering eyes or whatnot. But it's also, I think that when people like, they also like try to be better because they know that I'm going to church on Sunday and I have to confess if I do something bad or whatever it is, like at least for some people. So it's some kind of filter.
Again, I think prayer, just isolating prayer only. So prayer, my opinion, kind of like what you're saying, my opinion, prayer can quote unquote work if it makes you feel better, but it's not making something happen or not happen, because we know that for a fact. Folks, you can try that experiment on your own. Ask for X amount of dollars, or ask for, to have an open parking spot, something simple. Open parking spot, first row, 5 minutes, I need it. You're not going to get it. So, and if you get, and if by chance, if you got it, And you go, my prayer worked. Okay, we'll do that same prayer again. And then the next day or the next weekend on a busy Saturday and ask for that same spot. You got 1 minute. Like, so prayer doesn't work in the sense of the prayer itself will make something happen.
Like
Not
you
like
said,
that.
the genie thought. It's like, again,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
not like a genie that it just things comes poofing out of thin air.
Yeah. And listen, I've prayed. I think we all have this, right? We've all prayed. I've prayed for people to be cured from different diseases and stuff, and they didn't, and they died. And then I prayed for people to be cured from those same exact diseases, and they were cured. So I don't know, does it work? I mean, it's like, it's coincidence. So, but if it makes you feel better, fine. And Magnus, for me, actually, I used to be big on praying for stuff. I stopped because actually it was causing me more stress. Actually, it wasn't making me feel better. I was like, I gotta pray harder. I gotta pray harder. I gotta pray harder. Harder. I gotta pray. It was driving me nuts. So I was like, you know what? This is not good. This is not healthy. Plus, most of the time the prayer ain't working. So I'm like, what am I doing? If anything, I'm making like the Harvard study said.
Yeah,
it's making things worse because you're expecting such high, lofty things, or you're expecting something simple to happen, doesn't happen, and then you get let down, you get angry. So it's just like, you know what? I don't pray for things anymore. At the most, I'll just say, God, walk with me. That's it. I'm not asking for shit. So, anyways,
that is better, and also like I think that it comes down to also if it gives you like positive feeling, positive thoughts and things
if
like
it
that,
does,
because it comes down to that. It's like placebo, or just having a positive mindset goes a long way. I mean, it's the same thing, like, like actually giving your time or your money or things like that, and how helping someone, how much better you actually feel at the end of that day.
yeah. Well, that's actually doing something, though.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because action speaks louder than words, and I think
Correct.
that is more important. Like you can have your thoughts, you can have your words in your head, but actually going out and doing it, like going to church and helping out, like maybe people that needs help, like handing out food.
Well, that works, right?
Yeah, because at the end of the day,
You're
then
doing
you actually do something positive, and you feel better about doing it. So
100%. Well, but you get people like my mother will say, like, oh, well, you can't just pray. You have to do something. You said prayer is powerful. I shouldn't have to do shit. Sorry. Now, you can't say pray and do something, because then how do we know it was the prayer? You have to isolate either or. Now, we all know it's not the prayer, but it's just, like, okay, when you take that test, don't study for it. Just pray you pass it. See how that works out for you. Like,
I can tell you firsthand that never worked for me.
Right. And then really study hard and don't pray. See how that works out for you. Maybe do fine.
And the saying, like, luck, that's when what does it say, preparation and opportunity meets, right? So that's a little bit like with prayer. It's a little bit like the same thing. So
right. And again, I'm not against prayer, but and if it makes you feel better, God bless you. Knock yourself out. Like, you do you, baby. Pray all day long. Like that's great. I'm not saying don't pray, but my experience, what I see, I cited the Harvard study. I'm not saying, hey, it was a study. I cited it. I cited the terms of it. So, and again, you can do your own studies, folks. You don't have to trust me, but you have to understand the difference between coincidence and correlation. That's not causation.
yeah.
So,
but I like the thing that you said, like God walk with me, like be on my side, be like help me out, like
get like I'm not
whatever.
Shit.
That I think that's more spiritual, like we were talking about, like spiritual meditation, whatever it is, because you're like you're asking for someone to be on your side and give you like a positive, and maybe that brings in you, like in the back of your head, that you're doing certain things, that your action kind of follows that indirectly, because in the back of your head you said, okay, I promised that I was going to do the right thing and things like that, and I think that, like, speaking like just thoughts and putting words on it, like, and I think that is very powerful, if you ask me.
And again, granted, right, positive mindset, speaking it, but knowing that speaking it or praying for it is not going to make it happen, but it can help you to have a positive outlook, maybe. But again, that Harvard study said a lot of people praying it made it worse because they were expecting bigger things didn't happen. So it's I'd say it's up to the individual. If it works for you, knock yourself out. But you can't push it on people who might not want to do it, or they don't feel like it works for them, or they know it doesn't work for them. Like, to each his own. I just don't proselytize and push it on people, is try to shove it down someone's throat to pray or not to pray. Whatever works for you, you knock yourself out. Like, perception is everything, I guess. If you think it's working, God bless you.
I want to add something as like a science driven person, is that like the science that we have today has proven it not to work. That doesn't mean that there's some form of way that it might be that we don't understand and whatnot. That's the beauty of science, is that we're constantly like evolving the scientific model and working on it. So right. I'm a very strong believer of not like if people want to believe something, then let them. I mean, it might be proven wrong with science and all that, but it's okay. I mean, again, we have a lot of people that think that Earth is flat and so on. It's nice. I mean, like, and it's the same thing. Like, if people want to think that and they have arguments that have been basically proven wrong, it's fine. I mean, it's like, I'm not the person that, like, let's be honest, I don't want to shit on anybody's parade. That's how I see it, right? Yeah, yes. Like you might be wrong. Everybody might say you're wrong. It's fine, but like, the reality is still gonna be reality. Like, gravity still exists, and so on. So like, I'm sorry if that kind of like hurts someone's feeling, but.
Well, it's funny. When I was a child, right, Magnus, we were at an amusement park and we were on a roller coaster. And I don't know why my mother went on this roller coaster, but my mother's afraid of her own shadow. So but kudos to her. I guess she wanted to be with us, her kids. There was like 2 or 3 of us there. So my mother's on the roller coaster, and she didn't realize how bad it was going to be. So she was holding on to the bar for fucking dear life I'm not bullshitting you. She took out her rosary beads. I don't know where the hell she had these, but she had them in her pocket. She's praying. And in a way, I'm laughing my ass off because I'm like, Mom, what are you going to do? What do you think this prayer is going to do? Like, you can't do shit now. The roller coaster's in charge. But to our point about it made my mother feel better. It got her through that roller coaster, or and that's an analogy too. The roller coaster of life. Yeah. It got her through the roller coaster with some solace and peace in her heart, because she was scared shitless. But it didn't change anything. It didn't make the roller coaster stop. It didn't, slow it down. It didn't. So, but it made
it made the situation better for her.
For her, right. Now, for me, if I were to pray, it would make it worse, because I would see it as like, oh my God, this roller coaster is not slowing down, and it's going faster. Why are my prayers working? So for me, it would be better not to pray, because it would just add stress. But for my mother, it was better for her to pray. So whatever works for everybody. But if you think prayer is going to stop the roller coaster or slow it down, prayers don't make outcomes. So that's that. Again,
maybe the good decision over there would have not been like going into that roller coaster line to start out with.
Right, 100%. Well, common sense, right? But so my mother, So I mean, again, like. Yeah, but whatever. If it helps, God bless you. So, anyways, Magnus, anything else before we wrap up?
No, I mean, it's the same thing. I still think that like having your spiritual religious belief is important, and that has definitely shown by science that it definitely makes people feel better about a whole lot of things about their life, feeling more that they're surrounded by people they like and support and all that. So I think like at least let us like point that out as well.
Yeah. Again, because I said it's not an either or. It's not, does prayer work either or? Is black or white, or it's myopic? Does prayer work? It's a layered, marbled spectrum, shades of gray. It's not a black and white answer. But anyway,
very complex question.
Yeah, but the Harvard study, I think, explained one part of this argument.
Yes, definitely.
But it doesn't explain, again, if it makes certain people feel better, then hey, you do you. I mean, not that it's going to change an outcome, but it might, again, help the roller coaster not be feel as bad, or you
100%.
Yeah, in your mind it doesn't feel as bad. Yeah, whatever. It gives you some solace. But anyways, all right, Magnus, thank you as always. Thank you everybody for watching. Like and subscribe, folks, and say your prayers. And
see you guys.
Eat right. Okay, thanks everybody. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're out of here. Bye.